Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Recruitment Uncensored with me, Kate, your host, and we've got another Kate. Do you know what? I haven't even registered. We're having such a good chat in the green room. We're both Kates.
Yes,
on
absolutely.
today's show. Best name out there going, actually, in my opinion. So I've got Kate Chandon on with me today, and I did say when I did the last show, when I sort of introduced this as being the next theme, that this could be a bit of a trigger for some people today. But the gender imbalance and leadership, we're going to talk about it in detail today. What's still holding women back? I'm really excited for this one. But as usual, I will encourage you, if you've got a question for Kate, if there's something you want us to broach, if you don't agree with us, if you agree with us, whatever it is, put it in the comments. We'll deal with as many as we can. Anything we can't, we will come to it after. I can assure you on that one. So let's jump into it because I think we're just going to run out. We nearly ran out of time just chatting in the green room, didn't we? So
yeah, absolutely.
I realised we had 12 seconds to go until we went live. So let's get chatting. The first thing I wanted to ask you, because this isn't my bag, right? I mean, I have an interest in it, but it's not my expertise. So I always love exploring this with people that know a lot more than what I do about the subject. So what do you see as being the biggest barrier that holds women back from these leadership roles?
Well, I think sort of like as a bit of a precursor to that, Kate, is that, people will say that there isn't there isn't a really disparity between men and women in leadership roles anymore. And it's changed hugely throughout the years and it continues to change. But there's no getting away from the figures, absolutely. Before I came on
the
here,
data doesn't lie.
Exactly. You can't argue with reality. So I operate very much in the manufacturing sector. And why I wanted to talk about this today is that I speak to a lot of MDs, a lot of sales directors, a lot of commercial leaders within manufacturing businesses. And they're predominantly male. And when I say predominantly, if I was to guess, I would say 90+% are male.
Yeah.
It's very rare.
Same for me in my target market, recruitment business owners. Same, probably
That's
same.
why I wanted to talk about it. I wanted it to be like, and it's not about bashing males. It's not about, it's none of that. It's just that this is fact that, and I find it nuts that it's still a thing, in 2025. Now, really recently what I've done is I've sort of like honed down my target market now. It's actually FMCG businesses. So did a very quick Google search on top 20 FMCG businesses within the UK with female leaders. How many females, did a quick search, how many CEOs are female out of those top 20? And these are big, massive household brands. How many do you think?
Less than 1%?
It's one. One out of the 20.
There's one?
One female CEO out of the top 20 FMCG businesses in the UK.
Wow.
Which just shows, which absolutely shows it's kind of, it's a real thing. It's changing. There are more women in leadership roles, but there still is a massive imbalance. So I think there are a number of factors that have contributed to this. I can only talk about manufacturing FMCG because I don't, I can't talk about tech. I can't talk about anything else because I don't know those sectors. But I do think with manufacturing, definitely, it's a very traditional business. It's a very traditional sector. It might not be as attractive for women to go into that sector because it might be seen as a bit old-fashioned, whereas actually manufacturing is a thing that really drives our country and absolutely
massively
huge amount of business within
especially in certain areas of the UK. There's I'm in South Wales. Manufacturing is massive down here.
Yeah, and I'm in Yorkshire, so we've got a huge, Bradford, Leeds, everywhere has got a huge manufacturing hub here. Now, what I kind of see is what potentially holding women back is, which I'll come on to a little bit about how we can change it, but it's the education of the opportunities that are out there in manufacturing. So it's changing that sort of perception really of manufacturing as a whole. But also, I think there's a massive piece of work to be done around mindset and leadership. And actually, as a woman, you can do anything that you want to do. You can go for those roles. So potentially, as women, we might almost clip our own wings on that. So we actually think I might have had a career break. I had a career break. I've got 3 children. My children are very close together, so they're sort of like 2 years apart. So I had a huge career break because I didn't really go back after maternity leave, and I didn't want to because I wanted to look after my kids when they were little. And that's great, and that's all right to do that, whatever you want to do. But it's sometimes, I think, when we go on maternity leave, whether that be for 6 months, 6 years, whatever that looks like, that is a fact of life. You can't get away from the fact that women have children. Fact. There's no argument about that.
Yeah.
I think when we decide that we want to come back to work, whenever that is right for that person, we may have lost ourselves a little bit. We may have lost confidence in our ability, especially if you've had a long career break and you potentially...
Long time to have off work, even if you just have the 9 months. That's a long time. I have a week off work and I'm like, what am I doing? Like 9 months is a long time.
When you come back from Christmas and you're like, oh, I can't actually write anything anymore. How do we do this? How do we work? But I think if you've had if you've taken some time out, you might be going back, you might not have a role in that business anymore, or you may have decided you don't want to go back to that role, or the business has changed. The business might have been bought out. It can change so much in that time period. You might have just lost a bit of confidence in your ability to the value that you can add to that business. And I think that is where it needs to change, because women as well as men are very competent and have fantastic skill set. And just because you've had a bit of a career break, you need to still be confident in your ability and what you can do for that business.
I think anybody that had that long off work would suffer a bit of a confidence knock, male or female. Like, you just would. Like, even if it wasn't for maternity, if you add bringing up a baby into the mix, that's going to add to it, obviously. But, it's a long time. And I can imagine I would be feeling a lack of confidence. But I think you're right. It's not really addressed. So, like, I haven't got any kids, but I've got friends. All my friends have got kids. And one of my friends recently went back to work and she had those keep in touch days. And I think they're more designed, or they're like, from what I see anyway, from speaking to my friends, it's about refreshing yourself with the day-to-day of your job and the skills, which I know builds confidence, but you put a mindset, and I think that's really important. I don't think that's addressed, is it really?
No.
Like, how are you feeling about coming back to work, and how confident you feel doing this? And I don't think that's, I might be wrong, but I don't hear about that being a focus.
No, nor do I. And I don't think that businesses necessarily set out to right, we're going to have a male CEO, we're going to have a male leader, that's what we want, because I don't see that. I can't, yes, it happens, but it's very, very rare. But I think coming back into a role where you've had a big break, you've had a huge emotional change as well. You came, when you finished work, you were a person, and now you've given birth to 1, 2, 3, 4, however many children it might be. It's changed, but also I think your priorities might have changed as well. So I think going back into a role, and this, I do see this quite a lot, whereas women come back to work and they're like, actually, I'd like to work 3 days a week or have a little bit of flexibility. And sometimes it's just like, no, can't do that. Why can't I do that? Because I can make it. Let me prove to you that I can make it work in the time that I've got, or the time that I want to give to this. And I think that's also a real barrier as well, because sometimes I think women maybe just accept, well, I can't go back into my role on 3 days a week, 4 days a week, whatever that looks like, or a little bit of hybrid working, a little bit of flexibility, maybe a later start or an earlier finish because I need to collect my children from school, because some reason we think that when our children go to school, it's loads easier, but it's not. It's actually harder because the days are shorter.
And you've got to manage the pick up and drop off.
Absolutely. So I think there's quite a lack of flexibility in the workplace still. I know that COVID changed that a lot, and there's a lot more hybrid working.
It's almost starting to go back though a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It got better, and now it's going back. There's something you mentioned about change, and it got me thinking. Then, like, so you're coming back to work. You obviously have changed as a person because you've had a fucking baby.
Yeah, which is a big thing. You've had a big.
So you've changed. You've changed. Your outlook on life has changed. Whatever. But also, you come back to a business that probably has changed in 9 months or however long you have off. New people could be there. There could have been a restructure. There could be new products. There could be a new process, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to adapt to that. Also, everyone else has got to adapt to you being different.
Yes.
Because they're expecting you to come back as this person that you were before, but you're not that person that you were before. You're different. There's all this change going on, and usually in organizations, change on multiple levels can be quite disruptive, not in a not purposely, but it brings challenges, doesn't it? And that can affect your mindset of just trying to adjust to all this, like, all this stuff going on.
And I think the mindset thing is massive, because I think, you know, like you said, you've shifted, you've changed so much, regardless of the reason why you've had any time off. It might be that you've been made redundant, and that, you know, within that time, and you might struggle to find another role that's right for you. And it might be that you've had 12 months off work, which again hits your mindset and hits your confidence as well. And I think sometimes then because we lack that confidence, we then don't push forward and think, this is what I want. And also, I think, and again, I can only speak from my experience, you kind of think, I want to be really successful within my business, or within the company that I'm working in. I want to really add that value. I want to really drive that change. I want to really grow that revenue, whatever that might be for you. But then also we want to be good at the stuff that's outside of work as well. So we want to be a good, we want to be there for our family. We want to be able to go to the sports days. We want to be able to go to the parents' evenings. We want to be able to do everything. And I 100% believe we can do that. But there needs to be some changes in terms of acceptance.
There needs to be support to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that doesn't come with it being in the office at 7:30, 8 o'clock and leaving at 6 or 7 o'clock every night. That doesn't gel. And that's where I think the change needs to be. And we need to understand. And again, within manufacturing, it is quite traditional. There needs to be a bit more flexibility and flow as well, because I think if you've got that flexibility, it helps you tap into a better workforce as well, and more talent. It opens up the talent pool for you as well. So it's kind of win-win in my eyes.
Yeah, I'll move on to the next question. But while I remember it, because I might forget to bring it up later, I think as well, it is a barrier, I suppose, in a way it is. And you brought up about, like, you know, women thinking like, oh, well, I won't be able to do that if I'm 3 days a week. I think we often analyze ourselves based on our performance to date. But we don't think about, okay, I might not have done that before, but I've got the potential to do that. So fuck it, I'll do it. I'm going to go for that job, and I'm going to, because I can make it work. I don't think as many women have that mindset as maybe men. Again, I could be wrong, but it's just what I sort of see and experience as well.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more men that will just go, I'll give it a go. Whereas women, we maybe think a little bit differently about it, and we think about all these what if scenarios, and it's a very generalization, but again, that's, you know, you think, what if it doesn't work out? Whereas I don't think men necessarily think like that. They're like, it's fine, I can do it. And I think that's where that confidence and that belief in yourself is hugely important.
Yeah. The next thing I wanted to ask was this imbalance then is, do you see it being like bias, culture, choice? Like, what do you see drives it?
I think that's a really tough question to answer, because I think it's different for every single business out there. I think sometimes, and it is a very small number of businesses, that there is genuinely a choice, and it's not just about women versus men. It can be about age as well. You know, I've had people that have said to me, we want somebody that's between 25 and 35. Why?
Yeah.
You know, so you see that
35 is the max.
Yeah, one, you know, which I didn't choose to work with, but I was like, but why? Like, what difference?
Yeah, why?
It was because they wanted someone that would stay with the company, grow the company. I said, yeah, but that can happen at someone at 45. Like, there's definitely some things that are biased.
What's the retirement age now? I don't even know.
It's about 105, isn't it? If things carry on the way that they're going.
Well, he is ahead of you.
Retirement, what's that? I think, yeah.
What's that?
I think that's down to the person, rather than generalization. But I think we're culturally wise, we're so much more aware now. I see it a lot from candidates' point of view, where they're like, you know, I want to work somewhere where there's a good culture. And I think generally what drives a good culture is that open communication. It's that communication with your employees, and the fact that you're felt that you're doing a good job and you're needed and you're wanted. It's not about the free biscuits.
And you're understood.
It's not. And it's that opportunity to grow within the business. And it's not about necessarily having a really clear path. Like traditionally, sometimes you do this for 2 years and then you'd move into that role, and then businesses don't really work like that anymore, because there's so much change and there's so many more brands coming out, especially in FMCG, that are smaller, that are really founder led, and that really, you've got to move the times, you've got to adapt, and you've got to grow. So there's not necessarily that career path, if you like, traditional that they used to be, but I think there's lots of opportunity to grow. And if you can offer your employees a chance to grow and develop and grow personally as well, it's not just about making that next level on the career, and getting that pay increase. It's about personal growth as well. And I think if you've got that, you've got it right. You've got it absolutely nailed.
Yeah. And I think as well, I always do this. You know, when you go to say something and then the thing that you were going to say just disappears from your head. What was I going to say? So annoying. It's just completely gone. It was around being the agile thing. Yeah, I think what I like now is you can almost create your career pathway.
Yes. Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
if you are in a business like that, where it's sort of open, there's not this set, like you said, you do this, and you do this, and you do this. As you grow and develop in it's come back to me now, the thing I was going to say, so I'll come into that now. You can sort of, like you said, it flows, your career flows.
Yeah.
But also, it's gone again. It's back. Right, being vulnerable, that's what I was going to say. So, like, you were saying about the culture. I think now, when you feel that you can just be yourself, and like the management are being vulnerable with you, when I say vulnerable, I mean like they're being authentic, they're being themselves. If they make a mistake, they're like, do you know what, that was my bad, or they own up about their weaknesses or things they find struggling with. Like that's a culture where people really thrive, isn't it, and feel safe.
Yeah, basically. And it's that openness, isn't it? And that's, I think, not saying that there should, there has to be a professionalism in there. Of course there is, but if you're open and you're honest and you're, that's, and you communicate really well with your team, that's all that people want from culture. They really do. They don't care about all the added extra. It's about feeling part of the team and part of that journey. And I work with some challenger brands that you're really sort of like coming up through the ranks. And that's really important to them because they have to change so quickly and adapt and, course correct and change direction. But if you let everybody know why you're doing something, then you get your team on board. I think sometimes when you don't, right, we're doing this, and then maybe 3 weeks later, you're like, actually, we've changed, we're doing this, but you don't tell people why or tell them about the wider picture. That's when team can become really disengaged because they don't know why they're doing what they're doing.
Part of anything, do they? They just feel like they're being just led along and not involved in the decisions. And I think, again, like if you are a woman that is striving for leadership, you want to go into a leadership team that's attractive to join. And if you're experiencing that sort of culture, you might think like, well, again, instead of thinking, I can change this, I've got the potential to make a difference. Some women might, but some might think, oh God, I don't know whether am I going to be able to do this? Can I go in and make a difference? They might question it more.
Yeah, and I think that is definitely a female that we question our ability more than our male counterparts. Absolutely. And I think that's where it goes back to the mindset. People band around imposter syndrome a lot these days, and I think that is really true. I think that can be something that can really get to you. So I think mindset and mental clarity, mental health generally is so much more talked about now, but it's understanding, it's all right saying, you've got a great mindset, but it's like, how do you do that? What do you do? Let's talk about it. What books do you read? What podcasts do you listen to? How do you make sure that you're giving the best of your ability to your employer or to your business?
Okay, let's go on to the changes then. So what, obviously, like you said, there are an array of reasons why there's a gap at the top. There's not just one thing, is there, that goes into it. But what real changes do you think would really start to close that gap at the top? Because like you said, you looked at those 20 companies. Was it 20?
20,
So
and there was
one,
which is
one female CEO, which is like, it just makes me a bit sad though, in a way. It's like, and I know people say like, well, the best people get the job, but it's like you're telling me that there's not more, at least more than, you couldn't fill half of those 20 with an amazing woman at the top. They're out there. They are out there.
Yeah.
So like, what can we do to close the gap?
I think you've got to be really careful with this because, we talk about a lot now about diversity and inclusion and positive discrimination as well, because I also don't think it would be right to someone to come to me and say, we want a female leader. We just want someone that's female.
It's not right either way, is it?
It's not right either way. And it's about having that right person for the job, whatever that looks like, whoever that is. It's about having that right cultural fit, someone that's got the right ability to drive that business forward. So I think you've got to be really careful on that. And I know a lot of large companies have their goals. They have we have to have a certain amount of this person, a certain amount of that person, which again I find nuts, because it's like you can't operate like that, because the work, the landscape doesn't dictate that.
Well, if it was as easy as that, it would be happening, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's good that you're aware, but equally you can't possibly discriminate against somebody because they're not white, or they haven't got children, or they're a female, or they're an age bracket, or whatever. You've got to be really careful. So I think what would really help in terms of closing that gap are start really young, start within the schools, start talking to children about careers, and not just the traditional careers like a doctor, a vet, or whatever it might be. The world is our oyster now. We can work anywhere in the world. We can connect with anybody in the world because of all these tools, which will again change in 10 years, and it'll be even more so. The world's becoming a lot smaller place. So I think it's about really inspiring children at that GCSE level, that A level, whether university is the right road for people or not, whether it's apprenticeship. And it's definitely getting better, because it went through a phase where it's like, you go to university and that's it. Well, now
I remember it being like that when I was at that age, and really, I loved uni, don't get me wrong, but I love working. Like if the right apprenticeship had been put my way, I think I would have bitten someone's hand off for it.
And I think that's definitely, I'm seeing a change with that now, that there's more apprenticeships, which is amazing. But I think the downside of apprenticeships, if you lose that social side of university, so they almost needs to be a little bit of
a party, and you never can't beat it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what university is all about. So you need to that's the bit that would put me off encouraging my children to go down the apprenticeship route. It's like, I want you to experience a bit of life as well.
Yeah, moving away and living up without your parents, and
exactly. So I think there's a little bit of work to be done there, but that's definitely something that's becoming more attractive to students. But it's talking about that, talking about leadership roles, talking about being bold and being like, where do you want to be, and really sharing what people can do. It doesn't have to be working for somebody else. You can be a leader in your own business. I was
going to say, like, I think even in primary school, like, these talks should be happening, because I don't remember. God, I remember like career stuff was very, like you say, the traditional sort of jobs, and I didn't want to do any of that. And I sort of nearly went down the PE teacher route, because I didn't really know what else was out there. But I'm not kidding you. If somebody had come in and talked about anything sales related, like the paths you can take, I would have been like, oh my God, this is what I probably would have picked a different degree, actually. I did a sports degree. I loved it, but I probably would have done like business or something. Like, I don't know. But I don't think it's again, isn't it like less of 1% of business owners are women? Yeah. Like, we can encourage a lot more women to do it if we talk about it more, like you say, when they're younger. So I think I think that needs to happen.
Yeah, because it's still the traditional, you go to work, you go and find a job, you find a career.
And you might get married, and then you might have a baby, and then...
But that's like my regret is I wish I started my business like 20 years before I did. And that, I think that's having that ability to know that there are so many options out there. It doesn't have to follow a traditional path. I think there's definitely some education around the school piece. especially getting into manufacturing as well, getting more women into the engineering sector, into manufacturing, because that's still a really, really small number. How we do that, I don't know, but it's almost saying like, this could be your path potentially. This could be what you can do. I think there is definitely something around more flexibility. Not just for females, but for males as well. You know, don't always assume that it's going to be the mum at the parents' evening. It could be the dad. It doesn't matter. But having that flexibility within the workspace, you don't have to take a day's holiday for that. You shouldn't have to. You know, the majority of the workforce has got children at a certain age, and if you want children, you should be allowed to have them. If you don't, you don't. That's cool. Whatever
I'll be honest with you, right? From what I see, when you've got children, probably more on the employed side than having your own business, right?
Yeah.
It looks like a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
It looks like an absolute nightmare. The amount of times my friends are having to like miss work and use leave and try and handle all this stuff, which is normal when having kids. And I'm just like, yeah, this ain't for me. I can't, like, it sounds like a nightmare, logistical nightmare.
And if you don't, in fact, one thing you touched on there, Kate, is that you don't actually have enough holidays. If you're employed, you don't have enough holidays to look after your children when they're when they're on school holidays. So it's like,
summer holidays sounds horrific.
So
like,
yeah,
I know from my sister trying to organise childcare and work.
Yeah,
and it's just really difficult.
But I think that needs to change as a whole, and it's definitely better than it was. But like you said, it's definitely creeping back in. I'm seeing with clients want people in the office, which is fine, because I am a great advocate of, you do need to be in the office sometimes, and because you get things done quicker, you build relationships.
In certain jobs, I think, like recruitment, for example. I think their office time, it might not be every day, but it is important to have some of that time. So yeah, I agree with you on that.
And you can hear, you'd be like, actually, that person did that with that person. Maybe I could do that with my client, or but you have an appreciation for the business as a whole, and you're getting that cultural fix, if you like, of feeling like you're more involved. But I think we can't get away from the fact that we have mobile phones, we have emails, everyone's got the internet at home, everyone's got a laptop, everyone's got a computer. You don't need
work anywhere
to be in the office. You can work anywhere, anytime. And actually, if that means that you're working from 12 until 8 p.m, does it really matter? 9 to 5 shouldn't really, or doesn't need to necessarily exist anymore. Yeah, I get it. If you're going to be in the office, you want to be there at the same time. But aside from that, if you're doing your work, does it matter if you're working 10 till 6 or 9 till 5 or 7 till 3? It doesn't really matter, does it? Because the chances are, if you pick up a work email outside of those times and it's urgent, you're going to deal with it anyway.
Yeah.
So I think the flexibility is massive. The flexibility, definitely post maternity leave, is a huge driver to shift that change and shift that, seeing more female leadership roles, without a doubt.
Yeah. I am going to come back to you because I know you've got a really good top tip to share. But I'm going to do a run through of the next guest. And in true Kate fashion, I haven't written it down and I can't remember the date and what we're talking about. So I'm just quickly opening my Google Drive to have a look. I remember the guest, but not what we're talking about. So I have got Alison Humphreys coming on with me. Now, I want you all to be kind to me for this show, because I will have literally just got back from Ibiza. Technically, I'm still on annual leave, but I'm doing the show still. So I mean, yeah, we'll see what happens. But Alison will be on form, as she always is. Alison Humphreys. If you haven't heard of Alison, she is the owner and director of Recruitment Leadership Limited. She's got many strings to her bow. She's co-founder of Women in Recruitment Leadership, which I'm lucky enough to be a part of. It's a fast-growing network of female leaders in the recruitment industry. So very much about the topic we've spoken about today. And she does loads of other stuff. She's an APSCO advisor. Like, the list is endless. What a woman is all I can say. But she's coming on to talk about how to drive profit without the chaos in your recruitment business. I know profit's a big thing for all businesses at the moment, mine included. So it'll be Wednesday, the 1st of October, normal time, 12:30. And the event will be created next week. So keep an eye out for it. And yeah, join that show. One day I will be more organised. This is the 60th, 59th episode. You think I would know by now, but no. Coming back to you for your top tip. we've touched a little bit on this,
Yeah.
but it's all about the mindset. Talk to me about this one just to finish us off.
Yeah, so like recruitment's changed massively over the last few years, and it will continue to do so. So Ethica Recruit is changing, my business is changing alongside that. And what I've really seen is there's a need in the marketplace for women to be supported and coached in their mindset and their ability, definitely post maternity leave, and whether they want to return to work or whether they want to start their own business. So I've recently set up a coaching program that I can really help women either get back into the workplace or have that confidence to go back into the workplace, or just not do any of that and start their own business. So yeah, just really passionate about supporting women, because I've been through that journey, and I think there's a lot of work to do there. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah. Do you know what? Like I said, I haven't had kids myself, but I just admire any woman that has done it in the first place, because I
Yeah.
just think I'd shit myself, but also like that manages to like absolutely boss life and have children, like whether that's being employed, having a business, whatever job that is within a business. And it's so hard. Like one of the reasons I haven't done it yet is because I've seen all my friends do it and it's bloody hard. Like, so yeah. And the mindset thing is something, again, that I see a lot with people I deal with, friends, family members, my sister, people like that. And I think like, it's huge. And we've touched on it a lot today, haven't we? But I think that's a really nice way to finish with like what you said earlier, I loved, is that you can do anything you want.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
But it's getting in that mindset, isn't it? You can't just click your fingers and think like that. You have to get yourself into that mindset.
You have to absolutely work at it, and you have to keep working at it consistently.
Yeah. Oh, do you know what? I've loved this show today.
Yeah,
I've carried on talking about this for hours, but we are at the end now. So thank you to everybody that watched. I know Vanessa enjoyed it. Great session, ladies. So thanks for watching Van. I can't speak today. What's wrong with me? But you touched on it at the end. But if you've watched today and you have any questions, or you want to know more about potentially Kate supporting you, LinkedIn, best bet. Kate is tagged on the event for the show, so you can easily add her and message her. And also you can watch the show back. We've packed a lot in today, but it'll be on YouTube. It's on LinkedIn for a while as well. So yeah, watch it back, but do message Kate if you want to talk more about the subject, basically. So yeah, thank you for coming on and joining me to get you back on again at some point. But yeah, we're done. So thank you so much for coming on. Thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you on the 1st of October in a couple of weeks. Bye.
Okay, bye.